We got questioners out there already. Hi, everybody. We're all excited to be here. We're so excited everything's working. Um, we're having an incredible Mercury retrograde. My phone broke, and then I got it fixed, and then it broke again, and I got to spend all of last Saturday sitting at the Samsung factory store getting it fixed again. Now everything's working. AC still doesn't work in my car. I was driving around yesterday in the heat because the valves behind my washing machine burst. And so we've had a black mold thing happen. So they had to come take that wall out. I'm allergic to black mold, so I had to get out of the house for the day. So I was running from place to place that had air conditioning and will let you sit there and ask no questions, like Starbucks. And then but I had told twice a week I go and I have a personal coach that works with me. It's got a lot to do with building my core strength. And it's something I put off doing, but I really am enjoying it. I thought, God, why would people pay someone to put them in those machines? Anyway, they're they're resistance machines, which are safer for me than free weights.
Right.
Uh, and so I told the guy right after all my phones had broken and my computer. Well, y'all, if any of you were here last week, you saw the computers break. So um, I've got all that fixed. And I told the guy, I said, someday I'm going to walk up here and you're going to walk out and say, we can't do the class today because things just aren't working. And he said, never happens. Our machines are right there all the time. Pull up today at 7:20 this morning. And he comes out and he looks at me and goes, the electricians are working on it. And I was just like, I told him, I said, honey, this Mercury retrograde's been a bitch for me. But it's forced me to do some things yesterday. I did run from cool place to cool place because it was 106. And I finally at 3 o'clock went back to the wine bar where I used to read because they're open then. And they told me I could stay till, 11 o'clock closing. So I wouldn't have to drive back through the most hellish heat. But it was also a surprise birthday party for the guy who owns the place, who is the one that convinced me to come. He's the one who had faith in me before I had my knees fixed. And it was so sweet. And then a couple of other friends just showed up and we sat and talked and I had a lovely evening. So I spent more time out of my house yesterday where I wasn't on a trip since COVID, since 2020.
Wow.
And it was very exhausting to be around that many people.
Yeah.
But
I know all about that.
yeah, you do. And and it's like I was thinking, where can I go? I went to my rock shop and I bought a couple of rocks I needed to finish a grid and, different things like that. And those sort of short trips I make. But I looked and I said, do I want to walk through a grocery store? No. Why? Why do I want to walk through a grocery store? And I looked at shopping malls and I don't want to buy anything. Movie theaters are not open during the day in Dallas.
Really?
Yeah. They used to be, well, they're only open at night. And so there's no movie theater to go to. That was my first thought. So I ended up in a half-price bookstore. Do you have those in Canada? Where they buy lots of overstock books and newsbooks? Okay. Well, the real half-price bookstore started here in Dallas. It started in 1972. And the guy who started it was one of my volunteers in public broadcasting. Really bright guy, an executive with a big company here. And he said, I'm going to go start this thing. And these women that were volunteering with him, they go, he's going to go broke. He's going to lose his pension and stuff. They're all over the country. And his family, I think they sold it, but for a long time his family ran. Anyway, so yesterday, despite the fact I had to flee the mold, I had a good day and my car ran well enough for me to get to every place I needed to go. Except when I was coming home.
Perfect day.
When I was coming home at 9 o'clock at night, it was 106 in my car.
Wow. We had a bit of a heat wave here ourselves. We had an extreme heat warning from, I guess, Monday till yesterday. And it wasn't really till about 4 o'clock in the morning this morning when it sort of broke. But it was 103, 102, and it was just, I mean, that's unusual for us at this time of year.
Yeah, I know. I don't ever remember my parents. All I remember was them walking uphill both ways in snowdrifts that were to the phone poles. But
yeah, I was literally getting my snowshoes out of the basement. No, I wasn't.
What's going to happen though is all of a sudden the snow is going to come. It's like here, We'll have no
Always.
fall. Well, we don't have much of a fall anyway. We'll have no fall. It'll go from being 80 degrees to freezing.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
But
That was our spring this past
this year.
Year. Usually our fall is pretty good, but it seems like it's getting later when winter starts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. The good thing is I have clothes for all weather, so because I live in
Well, you
Canada,
have to. I used to have to go
versed.
back. I used to have to go back to Chicago to get a wool coat
Yeah.
early in the season, so that when I came home at Christmas, I didn't freeze to death.
Right.
Because they don't sell coats that warm down here.
Right.
Anyway, enough of why you would never want to come to Texas and how cold it is in Canada. Two
Right.
shocking topics. Okay, I'm going to talk about the kind of past life readings we're going to do today. We've had 11 people send in questions, and they're really good questions. And if I have time to pick up some more, I will. But what we're doing, past life stems from the belief in reincarnation. That's the first part. And the idea is your soul leaves and then it goes back into the mix, and then it decides when it wants to be reborn. It happens multiple times. Each life is considered a separate chapter in that soul's journey. So it's like another part of your book in the Akashic Records.
Mhm.
Reincarnation is the central tenet of various religions, from Hinduism, Buddhism, and some New Age philosophies. And I'm going to go over some really common words that we use so that we're all talking on the same page. Karmic lessons. Many believe that life is an opportunity to learn and grow, especially on the planet Earth. We have a lot of dense energy. We have a lot of things to overcome. Facing specific challenges or circumstances are designed to help us develop spiritually. Then we have soul groups. Now, soul groups is one of those things that soul groups are the theories that we have various souls we interact with in these different lifetimes. And sometimes they're the good guys, sometimes they're the bad guys, sometimes we're the good guys. So your mother in this life might have been your child in a past life, that kind of stuff, or that sort of things. It's because you have mutual memories and you can help each other mutually that way. Past life memories. Some people have specific flashbacks, and I had one when I went to the cloisters in New York, and I sat in a in the cloister cell, off a garden. And the second I sat down there, I realized, man, I've been here. I've done this. I understand this. They can be spontaneous or just induced through various misuses of regression therapy. We are not doing regression therapy level of past lives. We're doing what I call quick and dirty. I mean, we're going to catch what we can catch. And the weird thing is, sometimes I'll read someone like on these shows, and then later I'll have a flash of something else that I was going so fast. And we just need to, because we've got an hour, right?
Yeah.
And now you can also look at the influences on your current life. Experiences and lessons and relationships from past lives are thought to influence our current life. This is one thing someone who's really, really, really into past lives and reincarnation told me, that after World War II, a lot of the Nazi soldiers reincarnated as Africans.
Really?
And this continent and the other continent, yes. So they could live the life of the people that they had been oppressing.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if it's true or not, but they said that's had a lot to do with why African Americans became so militant out of the generation that was born in my years, because I was born right after World War II. That's just a theory. I don't know if it's true or not. Karma. Actions from previous lives can create karma that affects future lives, both positively and negatively. I read a woman one time when I did her past life. She'd had an absolutely marvelous past life where everything she touched it turned to gold. She learned how to lead people. She learned how to develop all this stuff. And she came in this life to teach everybody what she had learned how to do so well in that past life. So a lot of people think karma is always you screwed someone over, like the Nazi soldiers. Now what do?
Right.
Okay. Now, I told you we're going to do quick and dirty. What they call it are the kind of thing I do. They list it under psychic reading. Certain, and Kelly does it too. Certain psychics are able to read one's past lives through various divination methods. And we use cards, we use a past life garden, we use pendulums. And that's why when I do a past life reading with someone, we normally only end up looking at maybe one, maybe two past lives, but those take a couple of hours
Mm-hmm.
because it's really intense. But there's past life regression therapy. That's where you get hypnotized,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely fascinating. And you make sure you go to a person who really knows what they're doing and hasn't just learned how to hypnotize people. But uh, Many Lives, Many Masters. Brian Weiss's books are based on that. Meditation. Some people can meditate, and you find them all the time on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. Look at your past life. Akashic Records. I know Robert from Akashic Records. I don't know if he's back up doing it again, but there's a lot of Akashic Records readers on YouTube. You can look it up. And that's a weird word. It's Akashic. That's Akashic. You can look that up if that interests you. But they believe that there's a cosmic database that was set up for us to be able to go back and look at all kinds of lifetimes, back to Atlantis, back to Lemuria. There's some people who work with Akashic Records that help you figure out your galactic family plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and one of the things I've always found fascinating in past lives is there's people who have certain birthmarks
Mm-hmm.
or they have certain remembrances. I met a guy who could remember, he had these weird marks on his arm,
Mm-hmm.
and he did some work with past lives, and he saw himself as an African American Civil War soldier, and he's like, how am I ever going to find that? Well, it ended up there was a hospital, and he'd been treated at it, and he remembered a name. He remembered hearing a name, and they looked it up, and there was a soldier, and the surgeon who was there was very precise, so he sketched out the wounds they had, and the wounds that were sketched on that drawing exactly matched his birthmark records.
Wow,
So, you know,
that's crazy.
I know. Well, it's not crazy. It's
No,
what
but
we
I mean it's crazy when when you
when you
think.
get that close and that
Yeah.
associated. Yeah. And um, I'm not going to read. There's a little article it had about ethical qualifications. You're here. We're both ethical. We're not going to try to say take you to the point and say, but if you want to know more,
No.
we don't do that. Okay.
No.
That's the ethical consideration. Now, concept of soul families, and the reason I pulled this one out of my books is we have a lot of people asking about soul families and long-term things. You'll see in the 11 questions. Um, that's really in the spiritual, metaphysical, and new age beliefs. And you do, because of your astrologic chart, you pick your parents. You don't pick your siblings. You don't know if they're there. They're just there. They pick
Right.
the same parents you did. So a lot of there's a difference between a biologic family and a soul family. And a lot of times people will find their soul families. They'll find those people later and connect deeply with them and help and support them in a way that that accomplishes that. And if you're interested in soul families, Google it or GPT chat it or whatever you do to search these days, and you'll get some ideas. But a soul family is a much deeper connection, and it can be someone that you're not biologically attached to. Now, if you're interested in exploring these a little further, Kelly and I have set aside these dates that we'll be reading, and 9/21, 10/5, October 5th, and October 26th. We're going to do the same sort of thing we're going to do here, but each time we meet, I'm going to try to go into a little bit more about understanding all this stuff, and Kelly will be working with me on that too. I primarily use what I call a Spirit 7. You'll see it. There's 7 cards laid out. I use pendulums and stones, and I use the Oracle Garden Past Life Edition, and I will have the link at the end of this so you can find out how to order that if it interests you. So now that I've chattered my little head off, what do you got to say, Miss Kelly?
I just wanted to mention that I have been the recipient of 2 different past life readings. Both are on Nancy Jean's channel. And I have diagnosed anxiety panic disorder. And both of these readings that Nancy Jean gave me in different ways provided me with a feeling of healing, which was unexpected. I didn't expect those kinds of things to come through, so that was a most pleasant surprise. It allowed me to sort of figure out why perhaps I behave in a certain manner, or where a particular negative behavioral pattern might come from. And so I just wanted to mention that as we go through these readings. I just think that past life readings can be very revealing and can reveal things that you didn't even expect. So keep an open mind. And it might not be a bad idea to write down some of the things that you're told, because it may make more sense, later on. Yeah, oftentimes when you do these readings, like, you expect to hear a particular thing, and if you don't, you think, oh, well, that's not right. But then later on, you're like, hey, wait a minute. Now that makes sense.
Right. And there's a lot of ways that past lives reveal triggers, so that you see stuff. Okay. We're going to start with Christina.
I have to get the kitty cat off of the desk. This is Quincy.
Okay. Yeah, go by Quincy.
You have to get off the desk, sweetheart.
Okay. I have 3 sisters, and my 3 sisters and I had lives together before this. I'm going to swing a pendulum on that. And then I'm going to roll some stones into why your family group is constructed like it is. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. I know I have family members that I'm like, why would I? You choose your parents. You don't choose your siblings. You don't even know if they're there. So you're kind of stuck with them. But
Nancy Jean, Gina says that she typed a question in just before the show started. Did you get a question from Gina M?
I pulled it takes me a while to get them formatted so where we can all see them. Gina, if you can type it again in bold.
She did. She put it in the chat. It's in there at 11:17 your time.
Okay. Well, we're going to start doing this, and then we'll get to the vagaries of getting back in the chat. Okay. Thank you, Gina, for letting me know. Christina, I have 3 sisters. Okay. Was Christina related to her 3 sisters before this life? Yes, you were. And when I roll her stones in about her family, were her sisters critical to her soul journey in this life? No. They're on their own thing. They may have helped you, but they weren't critical to it. It means you're in charge, girl. You can't blame them. I'm going to throw stones in. The stones I throw in is quartz for clarity, citrine for luck, and the 2 ancestor stones, amber and petrified wood, help us define these. And these are, I'm going to ask for what was the greatest impact of your sisters in this life. Or no, what I'm going to ask is, what is your, what did your position in your family teach you about your life position? I'll make that up. Okay. It says that you've got the base family, the ancestor stone, the petrified wood, meant you were to become more enlightened and emerge more strongly. Your other the amber stone was down here. You had to learn free will from the ties you had to your ancestors in the past, and you had to your good luck was going to come in from being released from a lot of loss. So what I see is, and you came in female. That was very important for you to come in female this time. And I have a feeling in the past you were male. You were very tied to being put in certain boxes and having to do certain sorts of tasks. And coming into this family, you've been given the chance to express more of your family. Your family, everybody, every blood relative you have is part of your soul family. What'd you get? Uh,
Um, I got the magician card.
yeah, seizing your own power. Yeah.
Yeah, got the seven of pentacles. You know,
Mm-hmm.
investing and assessing. I got the eight of cups, walking away, searching for your empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because you said about the male, and I've got the king of pentacles on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah. I think you chose to come in this time. So whenever something happened in that past life that led you to have a lot of loss, and you come in this life to be released. Mm-hmm.
That's from the past life deck. I
Right.
pulled the health card, and so
Yep.
not sure if you experienced illness. Um, that's the sort of the vibe I was getting, like illness.
Yeah, I think sometimes, women were so chained and held back in other lives, they come in as or they, come in doing more masculine things. In this case, you found being more feminine protect you from the loss you'd had in a past life. And what I'm seeing is late 1800s, Middle Europe. So if there's some country in the middle of Europe that you really, really wanted to travel to or have always been intrigued by, that's probably where you were living. Okay, go to the next one. Hi, Nancy G. I'm so curious about my past life for months. Who was I in my past life? So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to do a Spirit 7 because that's much better. In a Spirit 7, I lay out 3 cards that are this life and 3 cards that are the past life. And we can see how you relate to it. Sometimes you'll find out you always wondered. I read for a woman who died. I hope you're not going to find your death in this, but she died in a very poor hovel little hut, froze to death in 1610, and it was a longer reading. And she died she was married to the person who is now her daughter, and both of them, unlike anybody else in their family, they can't stand to be in dark rooms and they can't stand to be in small places. And she told me months after we did that reading that much acknowledgement of that death helped her be free from feeling that way about it. So we're going to do Cheryl.
Okay. I can pull my cards, Nancy G. And sure. I've got this is from the past life oracle deck. I've got Mother. So the next card I've got is Farm. And the last card that I've got is Transportation. So let's see what Nancy Jean gets.
Okay. What I got is this current life, and you've always assumed sort of roles of leadership, but compassionately. And but you're kind of afraid of some of your choices. But you've been forced to have to make choices. You've been forced to be in a position where a person does. And you do really have a relatively happy family. But the past life you had, you couldn't get anything together. And you were really a good craftsman, but you were a craftsman. You were a man who was doing it. You had enough money, not tons of it, but you were the problem solver in that life too. So that part you've carried through. But something that happened in that life went sideways and you lost money. So that means that making decisions, which the Lover's card really means making choices. You find making choices very difficult. You do them and you do them well. You just don't have any confidence in your choices. And that inconfidence comes from that. That's, And let me see.
Now, see, I was trying to figure out the transportation card, and it, to me, based on your cards and that last card that I just pulled, that's just this constant journey to find yourself, right? To find your solid foundation. I want to say.
I want to see who you were. You died young in that life. So, you in some ways you never really had to make that many choices. Just things kind of happened. You were born in where you could handle it.
Right.
This being the past life, and you came from a family within the trades, and so you're somewhat protected. But so in this life, you came in where all the paths were not all like, if your dad was a jeweler in ancient times, you were a jeweler in ancient times. You didn't have a lot of choice about it. But it all turns out for the good for you. So you carry in some really strong, happy, positive vibes.
Yeah.
And
I think it was like a nurturing environment. I just don't
mhm,
think it lasted a long time,
he
sadly.
died. He died. You died in the plague. You
Right.
must have been really excited when COVID hit. I got to tell you, I've read two people we actually, when we did the long reading, tracked it back to the plague, and man, they were not happy when COVID
Wow.
hit.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Willow Breeze. Since I was a young girl, I felt connected to Native Americans. Walking in the woods feels safe for me. Please tell me if I was once a healer. I already did. I swung a pendulum on this. Yeah, Willow Breeze, you've been more Native American or shamanistic religion connected than anything else, and I think you definitely were a healer. But I'm gonna look for you, and I'm gonna ask if you're Native American. Um, Yippers, on and off, but you the foundational soul messages you carried came from being a Native American. Matter of fact, you almost feel awkward because of how the world has shifted under, what we learned in the history books, the white man's burden to fix it. We should have left you alone. You'd been much happier. What'd you get about her stuff, Kelly? Are you looking
Sorry,
for
one
that?
sec.
Okay.
I've got two cards out here. One comes from the deck Goddesses, Gods, and Guardians,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Aphrodite, which is eternal love.
Mm-hmm.
And the second card I got from the past life deck is the spirituality and the religion. And so definitely
Definitely.
picking up on that healer vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just grabbing another deck of cards. I just want to pull one more. This is from the Sacred Medicine Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've got family.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I picking up here?
It's a lot of healers were because their family. It's like psychics have
Yeah.
come from
Just
family.
when I look at these three cards, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, your family with the sorry, Aphrodite with the eternal love
Mm-hmm.
and the family card,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is your foundation. You were I believe that you were a very spiritual person, and it's possible that you could have been, if not like a, what is the appropriate terminology, a medicine man or a medicine woman. If you
Mm-hmm.
weren't that, then perhaps you were the head of a tribe, because that's kind of what I feel like. I feel like you were like the mentor, the teacher for all, right? You were the
Mm-hmm.
person that provided the guidance and the instruction and the direction to everybody. That's kind of what I'm picking up.
Okay. I'm going to throw in one set of stones on this. You've done this a lot of times. So, okay, was Willow Breeze a male or female? Okay, you came through a bunch of times as both and appropriate to whatever group needed you to be there. but we're going to see what place did you have within your family and within your tribe. It says most often you came through as a female. Your talents were recognized. The good luck, the feelings about that for you were realized when you were younger, but you lived to be very old. So you always brought a lot of clarity. You grew up as um, an important leader in your tribe, and
Did you
you were
just say
always
clarity? Look at that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just
Mm-hmm.
pulled the clarity card. Cool.
Right. And it's your ancestral journey to embrace your healing and embrace your connection. The other thing that I felt when I was looking at your question, I looked at everybody's questions, but yours in particular is you must be really excited about elementals becoming more part of our lexicon in the world, because when you walk through the woods, that's why you feel safe. The elementals that live in those woods know who you are, and they make you feel safe. That's lovely. Thank you, Willow. That was a lovely question.
Was lovely.
Okay. Josephine Schwartz. I have a very strange relationship from my only sister. Can you see what past life or lives that's from? Yeah, I can do that. This is tough for me. I did talk to my sister for 20, 30 years, 25, 30 years. And because she got angry with me because I stopped her from killing herself. And I could never quite understand why she was so bitter about that. Okay, we're going to lay it out. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to lay out how she fit into your life. We're going to use the Spirit 7 again. This is another, you can use this reading to see how two souls are entwined. In this life, what were they? Okay, it's going to sound a little confusing, but in the past life, you and she got along brilliantly. You didn't complete everything together, but you got along well, and you supported each other to the end. So in this life, you came in without the same sort of loving energy behind you, so that you could stand on your own and learn to stand on your own, and really learn how to make your own decisions. The fool being here is all important. It's you need to learn how to walk and make your own path. And in the past, you two were so combined, and it was brilliant. And that's part of why you feel so estranged from that kind of complete, engaging love you had in the past life. And you sort of would like the two of you to be together, but the choice is for you to have to make new relationships on your own.
Sorry, I'm reading something out of the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that absolutely, Lori. Okay, so Josephine, I've got from the past life oracle, I've got finances. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've got the father card.
Mm-hmm.
And then I threw some tarot cards down, and I'm going to be honest, a whackload of them came out.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I think is interesting, right? Everything is going along tickety-boo here with the Knight of Pentacles.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting your job done. Then we have the Empress card coming out. So, loving, nurturing sort of environment, right? Getting things done again. And then something starts to shift and the Seven of Wands shows up. So feeling slightly challenged.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Moon card as your challenge card. And, the Moon card's interesting because sometimes it's revealing something that you think is there. And now it's been confirmed. Sometimes it's showing you something that you didn't know was there. And I'm going to swing back to that in a moment. The outcome card is the Three of Wands. So that's expansion and goals and visions. So again, talking about that getting things done part. But what's on the bottom of the deck is the high priestess. That's secrets. So tying that back to the moon, right? And then the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If there was secrets around the father figure or secrets around money, that could be maybe what caused a separation or a distance, let's just say, right? That's kind of what I'm getting. I know that doesn't necessarily answer your question, but that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that it was like either a financial, like maybe your family split up, and long ago that was a problem, right?
Right.
If a family was torn apart, for whatever reason. But that's kind of what I'm getting, is that there was something to do with money and the father of the family.
Yeah, and I think you had to go find your own family that didn't do that sort of stuff.
Okay. All right. That makes sense what you're saying. Lori is asking if we can repeat the dates that we're going to do this again. We can do that at the end, right?
Yeah, I'll type them in at the very end so you can see them.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Irene Sarah. Hello, Nancy. It doesn't chats. I would love to know anything about who I was in my past life and what is my purpose in this lifetime. Thanking you both in advance. I'm working on a soul purpose reading. I'm trying to figure out what elements to put together to get that, because people keep asking me that all the time right now. So, okay, let's see.
I got a good one for that.
Okay, good.
I'll share it with you.
Okay. And do a spirit 7 on who you were and where it set you up for now. Maybe that'll help us. Well, it set you up nicely for this life, actually. Okay, you were a refugee. This is the past life. Your family fell apart. You ended up having to follow a better way, and you just took off and left what you could, and 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 just kind of learned how to live at the very edge and at the pretty much at the bottom. This is definitely something in a war, and it may have been World War II. But this life, you came in, and even though I think at points in times your father wasn't as cooperative with you as you would have liked, and you sort of bucked the trend of the value system your family had, you've made good choices for yourself.
No, I got the father card again, which is odd. Well, it's not odd because Nancy Jean said it, so it's not odd, but I meant it's odd because I got it again.
Yeah, no, it's odd when you pull the same card 2 times in a reading, because decks are bigger than you think.
I've got baby, so which is interesting to me because the next card that I pulled is this card here, and I want to make sure that I try to pronounce this correctly. Amaterasu. Probably not at all the way you're supposed to pronounce it, so I do apologize. But the message on the bottom is no more hiding, and so I'm picking up like almost like orphaned.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the family completely falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Also got the strength card, and I don't know. Do you have something like? Are you involved in the arts, or do you have a particular passion for the arts?
That's what her dad didn't want her to do.
Oh, okay.
Because she wanted to go. He probably wanted to go. We're going to put money into your training, we want you to have a job that you can learn, that you can use. It's functional. Don't become an artist, become an art teacher, kind of thing.
Oh, okay. See, now that's one of those times where it would be really interesting if
That's why doing past lives is so much better. if you're actually doing it with the person live.
Yeah. Like if Irene had some kind of, like I love to play the piano or I love a particular kind of music or something,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you like to draw or maybe you like write stories in your spare time or something like that. Because that's a trait that you can bring forward, and
Mm-hmm.
you're I don't really know why. It just speaks to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
particularly good at it, but I just really love it.
Mm-hmm. Let's
That's one of
see.
the really cool things about past lives.
Let's see if you did have to abandon where you grew up and move away because of a war. Yeah, she was a displaced refugee
Mm.
in the past life, and I don't think you lived that long after it.
Yeah, I think the most positive thing out of that reading, for me, that stands out, and it's not my reading, but the no more hiding.
No more hiding, and you're just going to come in and be the sun. You're just not
Yeah,
going to. What you are is what you're going to be,
yeah,
and you paid a price for it to some extent,
yeah.
depending on how you liked your dad, I guess. Okay, show. Oops. Hi, Nancy. I would like to know if any of my past lives I was a male. Okay, that's easy.
Hi to everyone who's in the chat. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Thank you. I'm sorry I can't read it. I can't read cards, swing pendulums, and talk.
What? Why not? No.
Yeah, you've been a male more than you've been a female. And the reason you asked that question is because you're always the leader in the family. But we're going to, yeah, there he is, standing by his tree. We're going to see how you fit within your family.
Wow. I got the most awesome cards. I got the 6 of fire and the 4 of fire. So the 6 of fire is, or the 6 of wands, however you want to say it, lots of fire in your chart. I wonder if you're like a fire sign, but it's success, being seen, it's your self-esteem, right? Being recognized for doing great things. And then of course the 4 of wands, it's about celebrations, it's about family, right? That blessings, I want to say.
Well, what you got is you were always the one that had the position of power. You chose in this life to come in with your soul family and not necessarily to. I think you lead, even though you're not the male in the family. And that may be one of the reasons, but if you have your past life, you've probably been male more often than you've been female. So you're here when women are being stronger. So communal living.
Yeah. And I got angels. That's what came out of the past life deck.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you were like a protector, kind of. You're very much large and in charge, but in a loving way, not in a derogatory way.
No. Okay, we're gonna go to Roney. Why? I'd like to know if my husband and I had past connections. Our upbringing and environments are completely different, yet there's an undefinable thing that's brought us to and holds us together. Okay. Doing the connection between Roney and her husband. Okay, let me get down straight. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, of course you're together now because you were forced to not be together before. You were forced because you came from different faiths and different backgrounds, and they wouldn't let you make the choice of being together. And you talk about one of those, that crush you had on a kid in high school that you never quite got over. Well, you've dragged it through lifetimes, girl. Um, and this time you said, nope, we're going to fix this. We're going to get this one right. No tower moments. We're not going to tear everything down, even though he may be imperfect at times in his ability to give and receive. I think he had the harder family life growing up, which makes him more different. And your journey is not yet done between the two of you. So you see what's he talking about. Oh, yeah. When you've had rough times, then you go to having the loving night. So what'd you get?
I have awesome cards. First card that I pulled out is the Thought Vibrations card.
Mm-hmm.
Is resonant choices and signature signals.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I pull that card, I feel like, two things like a magnet, right? Just being pulled closer and closer and closer
Mm-hmm.
together, really vibing off of each other, if you will. I got vows.
Mm-hmm.
So again, pulling you together. I've got the Egypt card.
It could have been, if you've been hanging on that many thousand years, girls.
Mm-hmm.
And
I pulled another oracle card just for the heck of it, and I got good luck. And it feels like, again, like it was meant to be, right? It was
right.
You guys were meant to come together. So yes, to answer your question, I definitely think you guys had many a connection.
Okay. Yep. And this time you're going to finish it. Probably tired of seeing each other. Did I struggle with myself and being on Earth in a past life, and do I now? Thank you for your support.
I have struggles with myself. Mm.
Okay, let's see. See what kind of vibes we get off a past life and a now life. No, I think I'm going to use the garden. Okay. Are you struggling with the 3D energy and the Earth right now? Yes. Have you lived before and successfully navigated the 3D energy on the Earth? No, you're probably right. Okay. I'm going to throw in, and then I'm going to try to see a life. What's a past life that's still dragging her into that belief? Okay. You were male in that life. You had lots and lots of loss and some release. Your amber was between clouding and receding. The problem is that you just could never get a clear picture of where you were supposed to be. It was fuzzy. What you got?
I got unrequited love.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Hanged Man, so literally a little bit upside down. We've got the Ace of Cups, right? That's all about the love, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Knight of Cups, wearing your heart on your sleeve, being a little bit like being in love with the idea of being in love, but not necessarily all the rest of the stuff that comes with a relationship, which can have you feeling often brokenhearted, which we have here with the Nine of Swords, right? Upset, anxiety. On the bottom of the deck, I've got the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So that's luck, progress, change, karma. And I would like to just sort of say that when I look at that card, I think to myself that, if I'm learning the lessons and applying the lessons, then my will continues to move forward and I make progress. If I don't learn the lessons and apply them, then I sort of feel like I'm spinning my wheels.
Okay. I'm going to do one more yes, no over the garden. Will Michaela be able to come to terms with some of these struggles, more or less? And it's mostly by assuming your own power. I think you've relinquished your power to other people, and that's where the problems start.
I had the Ace of Swords underneath the Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the Ace of Swords is like, sort of epiphany and ideas and sort of like an aha kind of moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So use the energy of that Hanged Man to do some self-reflection and to really review where you're at and where you're trying to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great time to do that as we move into the energy of September the 9th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great time to manifest and set intentions for yourself. It's a really powerful day. They say that the energy is good for the next 9 days. So
Mm-hmm. Is that one of the Jupiter trines?
I think so.
Dark Brew. I cannot be successful in anything in my life. I've always had problems getting friends. This was a really long Dark Brew. When you see this, you're gonna realize I tried to get the most important points. I have problems getting friends. My financials is in horrible shape. I have no career, and she did start 2 careers, and neither of them worked out. So she feels like she has no passion for doing anything. So let's see where you come from that you have. Okay. I'm going to start with, is there a way out of this for Dark Brew, or is this just that lifetime? Yes, there's a way out. I'm going to throw the stones in and see what you need to balance in your life to start to bring things together. Okay. Okay. You had a lot of exuberance when you were younger, and you had a lot of passion for what you wanted to do. And the fact you've ended up out like this, you feel like you're living out some older karma from leftover stuff from families.
Yep.
You're female, and you've used the excuse of, well, if I was a guy, this would happen. And your good luck's going to come out of accepting the fact that you're female and get some clarity on a past life. So I'm going to throw Spirit 7 and see what past life you need to go focus back on. That will help raise your passion. It's really awful to go through your life without any passion.
Wow. I've got a karmic relationship. And then I've got this card of male and female. Now, if you look at the way that they're standing with their back sort of resting against each other, I mean, this could be a struggle between two people, or it could be a struggle within yourself, right? I've got the vows, which makes me think that perhaps you were like a monk or a nun or a minister of some faith, which would sort of like, I don't know why that's the vibe that I'm getting. I've got connections, partnerships, contracts, and commitments, and then the last card that I've got is peace. I think that you might have been in some form or another, you might have been in service to God somehow, and might have struggled with understanding that relationship, right?
Right.
Or that relationship being fulfilling is, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, what I saw in a past life, she abandoned her vows.
Okay.
And
that
took off and left. And so this life, she came in not expecting anyone to love her, to trust her. And so you build up a big defense, which is one of the problems I see here. And you haven't planted your seeds in the right places yet. Casey, We have a wall missing in our laundry room, and the cat
Uh-oh.
just found it.
Uh-oh.
It
Oh my
was
goodness.
Sterling was in the mess. I think he was close out the laundry room.
Sorry about that.
This has been the other thing going on in my life, just running from black mold. Anyway, but I think what you need to do is go inside yourself. You already know the answer.
Yeah. This is what you need to activate. Your inner peace is really what you need to bring about, right? I mean, this question, I get this, right? Like
You can relate to this.
yeah, and I don't want to like start crying, but I get it.
And it is hard when you work on a career and then you leave that and you go to the next one and it's not the answer. You do have the answer inside of you. And one of the things is that I think you need to not what my guides are telling me is you overly recognize when you try to put yourself in a leadership position, you always go, but if I was a guy, they'd believe this. And you need to get out of that because so many of the professions that when I was a child were all male are now more than 50% or more female. And we have to understand that the people younger than we are do respect our wanting to assume different roles. Um, and I think every night before I go to sleep, Dark Brew, I'd ask my guides to give me a dream about what I can be passionate about. I think it's not that you have no passions, it's you're terrified to have one.
Yeah. Totally.
And I wish this was a longer reading and I wish it was in person, but
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we're giving you a start. And we're almost done with our 11 questions. Good vibration energy. I would like to know the past life connection between me and my adopted grandson. Curious about possible mother-child lifetimes. Your question is the one that triggered me to go make the difference between being in a soul group and that people can come from anywhere. They will get across and find you. So I'm going to do the Spirit 7 on you and your grandson.
Thank you, Hypnocity. That's very kind. Hypnocity said you two complement each other really well.
We do. We have very different perspectives on life. I've never been. I don't have any of the sort of innate problems you have about going out and talking and doing all that stuff to the point that that's destructive to my life. So
yeah,
I can learn from you. I have a little more caution about this woman. Okay, here we go. Let's see the connection between you and your grandson. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're here to complete what you didn't complete before.
Totally.
Didn't get done. And you were both females in the last time that you knew each other. You came out of a time where he was a very bright scholar and you tried to encourage him, and it was at a time when they didn't want bright little girls, and it sort of got him stuck in one place and was very discouraging to him. But this life you came in and you said, nope, we're gonna get past this, we're gonna take the road less traveled, we're gonna make it. You have one of the things that ties you to this child is you both have the same kind of skills. I don't know whether it's arts, I don't know whether it's crafts, I don't know whether it's music, I don't know whether it's writing. I don't know whether it's just looking out a window and appreciating how pretty things are. But you guys have very, very different, you have very, very similar things. And yeah, you did know him in a past life. And he was a little scholar. So don't be afraid. There's a part of you that's afraid to encourage him because when you encouraged before, it didn't work out. You can change that. Yep.
I got the mother card.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the phobias, so picking up on like serious fears, serious things that are that you may be resisting or maybe blocking. I've got that male and female card again. And I got the health card. And I wonder to myself, like I'm feeling kind of I don't really know what the word is that I'm trying to say. So you say what you're going to say, and then maybe it'll come to me.
What I'm sensing from what you're saying is somehow or another encouraging this child to move on caused them to have health problems, and that's why they didn't complete
Yeah,
what
it's
they
like
needed to do.
it's like I don't know. I don't know what the word like it just it feels like it's like something feels like not right. So but it feels deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like maybe depression or like a level of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
that sort of feels like a blanket that's kind of like weighing you down,
Well,
right?
she does, because whatever caused this child, they ended up locked in, not being able to move forward
Right.
and pissing off the whole system. So there's
Yeah.
a part of her that feels like if I really encourage him, will that happen? And I'm going to tell you, no. You got the Ace of Wands. Go for it.
Yeah. Last card I got was blessings.
Mm-hmm.
So this connection with your grandson was like, you know, the sun shining, really.
I don't know that it was necessarily mother-child. I know that you had great influences over that child to encourage them. And there's some part of you that says, is that safe for me to do? And it is.
No.
Okay, so I hope that helps you. Okay, we've got one more of these. Karen Johnson, is there a past life affecting my relationship in this one? It seems that the good ones are always, oh, she's looking for a person, a special person,
A special person.
a special person.
Interesting cards. Wow. Sorry.
Oops.
Noises that tarot readers make that they're not supposed to.
Okay. Oh my God. And I've said that when it's really a good reading and I watch people get really pale. I had a young woman, it was her 25th birthday, and they brought her into the vintage store where I was reading, and her friends were like, you got to get red, you got to get red. And she really didn't want to be red. And I said, look, you know, it's really all information you already know inside yourself. So finally we talked her into sitting down. I was so mean. I put out 2 cards and I went, oh my God. And this girl jumped like 3 feet in the air. I said, now that we're past our fear, can we just sit and listen to the damn reading? Okay. Now that we're past our fear, Karen, you thought you had it all made before you made a choice, you made a marriage, and it did not work out well. And it was during a time when you made that marriage, man, you're stuck. And so some of what's going on here is it's never been a drive. I mean, you may think everybody wants somebody, but it's not been the kind of maniac. This is OCD behavior at your base. And achieving what you need to do for yourself in the world has been really important in improving yourself. But now you want to move on with less stress, and you feel like it would be good if you could find someone. The problem is you need to have a long chat in the middle of the night with in your dreams to get rid of this marriage out of your mind.
Gotta love it when basically I could just say what Nancy Jean just said. So I'll just show you my cards. No, I've got orphan.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the way that she's holding herself there,
right,
that I feel that sums up this like whole thing for you. We've got leaving or travel. And the reason why I went wow is because the first tarot card I pulled was the Chariot, which is about
Mm-hmm.
travel. It's also about speed, and it's also about like success, which I just think is an interesting point. I've got the Ace of Air, so needing to make adjustments or like sort of searching for inspiration, waiting for the spark of inspiration to
Mm-hmm.
come. I've got the Seven of Pentacles as your outcome. So taking stock and really asking you to be patient. It's like if you think about planting a seed in the garden, right? You've got to talk to it, you've got to fertilize it. You can't just sit there and watch it and go like, are you going to bloom today?
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's like watching a pot boil. Like, it's not going to do it until you walk
Mm-hmm.
away. And what's interesting is I've got the Six of Cups on the bottom of the deck. So this is nostalgia. This is thinking back. So like Nancy Jean was saying, it's like you're stuck on something, right? Like if you could just get past that, and I guess what I'm trying to say is this: if you have a picture or the perfect dress,
Mm-hmm.
but it only comes in size X, Y, and Z, and that's not your size, or it only comes in a certain color and that's not your color, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and hope for that to change, or are you going to try to find a new dress? Right? I feel that you've blocked yourself somehow with this marriage in the past. This
Mm-hmm.
that connection is. You've got to break that in order for you to get past it, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. And I think that the way that you do that is these two people right here, right? You got to go
Mm-hmm.
back to your past, and you got to give yourself a hug, just like
Mm-hmm.
if you notice, both of those cards, they're both sitting in the exact same spot, except
Yep.
for one is looking up in a
And
hope,
out.
and the other one is looking like dead stare forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think you want to look up.
And also, don't reject guys because they're younger. Get out of that mindset they have to be older than me, because you had the Page of Pentacles there.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we're going to go and comments. What is it? We're going to answer this one because this lady typed it on the page, but you have to. It takes me about an hour to get all the questions over, and they, it's a mechanical process, and I have to do it. So I typed a question shortly before the show started. I would like to know what my past lives or lives were that are impacting and blocking me now. Is this the same thing or a repeating lesson? Okay. See if I can focus on the life that seems to be blocking you now. I see a question in here about drownings in past lives. Yeah, that'll freak you out about water big time.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Yeah,
We very much appreciate it. Do we not? And
we do. And
not forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe and all that
yeah,
good stuff.
because if you want to, life gets looked at, you need to subscribe so that you can get our notices. And also, if you're not subscribed, I've set it up so you can't ask a question. If you don't give me that much support, then and it's what's the subscription? It costs you like $0.
Right.
And I'm going to read this real fast, and then I'm going to type out the dates that we'll be doing this. We've got 3 more dates that we are going to be doing past lives, and we're not making it into a regular thing right now because besides this, I'm also going to start teaching a tarot class, and I'll have an announcement. So if you're subscribed, you'll get word about my announcement about that on the 18th, 6 weeks class, day and evenings. You have day and evening choices. Um, and it's very, very thorough, and you learn how to read these sorts of readings and a lot of other stuff. So I think you'll like it. But what I'm looking at when I'm looking at your thing is, in this life, what you really wanted was a happy, happy, happy family, and you're now ready to really move on to that. Now, what happened in your past life wasn't very happy. You kept planting the seeds and nothing came to fruition. Your children died. Your marriage was a mess. It was back in the Victorian era. That's the life I'm looking at when this happened. So you've had to do a lot of reprogramming on yourself. And you are learning those lessons and you are getting past them. But you don't trust your own soul. You don't trust your own spirit enough. You're in the reversed hangman position. When you've been through these last few years saying what's impacted and blocked me, you've come to a lot of conclusions. You've seen it from the other side. You're ready to move forward. You just have to have enough confidence to move forward. Um, and yeah, you were in a repeating cycle. You were into a lot of loss and suffering, and read history books. There was a lot of that going on at the time. So with that, I'm going to listen to what Kelly wants to add to that, and I'm going to put the dates in.
The first card I got for you, Gina, is forgiveness. Easy to say, so difficult to do.
Forgive yourself.
Yeah, but there's like a stuck thing there. Do you know what I mean? Like to your question, right, about the block.
Mm-hmm.
We've got food and hunger.
Yeah.
Now that could be literal, or that, but like I'm feeling like nourishing you, like nourishing your soul. It's not necessarily, food, but it's possible, obviously. We've got authority figures here. Like I'm really vibing, like I'm not good enough. You feel like you're not good enough. Now the tarot cards are interesting. We've got the Six of Swords, so moving away from sort of like choppy waters to a calmer sort of, happier shore, if you will. So you're moving, and then you meet more conflict with the Five of Wands, which is interesting to me, right? Like, so things are starting to get better and to repair, and then boom, you hit more conflict. But then here we are, and you're celebrating, and you're happy again. And just like Nancy Jean picked up, like I've got the Four of Wands, the family, the celebration. So it feels a lot of this, but it feels like something's like I'm fine, everything's fine, everything's great. But inside you're like, oh, you know what I mean? I want to say to you, because this is underneath the Four of Wands, right? The Nine of Wands. Putting up your boundaries. Remember that boundaries are about protecting you, not necessarily about someone else, right? Doesn't mean that someone else did something wrong. That boundaries are about protecting you. So if you're carrying this forward into this present day, put your boundaries up and protect yourself. That means listen to your body, like with the food, right? Nourish your body, listen to it in terms of make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure that you're giving yourself enough time out in nature and enough sunshine, like those kinds of things, that you're giving yourself enough time to be joyful and to be happy, right? Those kinds of things can make a world of difference in your overall sort of everyday life to life moments, right? Picking up your vibration kind of idea.
Okay, I posted the dates up. They're in the chat. September 21st, October 5th, and October 26th. And
wow.
Oh dear. Yeah, I just saw what Karen posted. Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. Anyway, we kind of need to go because I don't like things to go too long. People see something's longer than an hour and they're not going to sit through it. But for the 42 of you who did, yay, we love you.
And I have a show to go to. I'm going to be on with Richie Longman Tarot at 2:00. So
Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say to everybody, look for those other dates, get your questions ready, get them posted. We'll run through them as quickly as we can. And we'll see what we can do. And you take care. Oh, one thing I did want to post, and I will post it really quick. This is the lady who makes the past life garden. It's www, and it's Alma, the name with the DE, because her name is Alma, and it's allmade.co. It's co, not com. And if you go to the collections metaphysical, you can find. She also makes some wonderful chakra keys and some other things that are really good tools to work with. She's a great artist, and she really knows what she's doing. So, everybody, thank you for being here. Goodbye, Miss Kelly.
bye-bye. Blessings.
Yes.